Mr. Magno. How are you doing today?
Hello, Michael. We had a nice talk today.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So I hear that our original schedule for today, they had some issues.
Yes, our guest couldn't make it on time or something. There's always so we.
Would you like to improvise a little?
Sure, whatever you'd like to talk about.
Okay. Well, we were talking about listening, right, before. Um, and we were talking about that listening is it's not just about listening, but it's about comprehension, right? And so, how does someone really comprehend what is actually going on? You know, so many people misinterpret the message. You know,
Yeah.
when they're hearing something, and as a result, they're hearing something else that's not actually being said. So, what do you want to say about that?
Well, the first thing we have to understand the words, what the words mean.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, in English at least, the same word can be used in many different contexts, in different ways. So when you speak with someone, you're not just using the mouth muscles to talk with, you're using your intention. See, that's why we make motions with hands or motions with the face and the body. All this means something. So comprehension has to do with a lot of with that. On top of that, we most humans are machines. And some of us have been machines also. By machines, I mean we have been conditioned to talk and comprehend what is being said in a certain way. If you don't believe me, just pay attention to when somebody says, "How are you, Michael? Hey, how you feeling, dude? How you feeling, dude?" They don't mean what they're asking. If you're going to ask somebody how he is, that means you're interested in his welfare. So you say, "How are you, Michael?" And you wait for an answer. And this is the cause of all divorces. This is the cause of all separations. This is the cause of all loss of relationship, communication. So
Yeah, so it's kind of like they're really unconscious in a way of being there, being
sleeping.
with the person, right?
That's right.
They're really not being there.
That's right.
And
That's it.
the conditioning is really just, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to say. I don't, and then it's just something that comes out, but there's no feeling there. There's no genuine communication.
Right. And no self-love either. Because when you self-love, you respect and love yourself so much. Not your ego. I'm not talking about loving your ego. I'm talking about that which is you after you drop the ego. That is what you love. And you love it so much that you will not permit yourself to talk to anyone unless he gives you his undivided attention.
Right. So you're not going to take anything for granted.
Nothing.
Yeah. So how do we get to that point? Self-love.
Well, I'm very excited because I just finished my sixth book yesterday, as a matter of fact. I'm just cleaning it up now. And it's all about that. And it's called The Path, A Guide to Self-Love, Happiness, and all the things you've ever wanted. And it's very simple. although the explanations may get a little bit difficult here and there because we're dealing with things that are not exactly physical. We're dealing with 100% being here. And if a person is not 100% here, he might have a little trouble comprehending what I'm saying.
It's more of like the mind needs to be quiet in order to hear. If you have a conversation going on at the same time as you're listening, you're really not listening to the speaker, you're listening to your own conversation, you know?
That's right. Yep. See, a lot of these things that we study on personal freedom, self-love, happiness, contentment, wisdom, this is what we're after. When we're after these things, we get to a point where we're there. The person is there in a present moment. It doesn't mean he has to be serious. You can be funny and have a good time also. I mean, you know, but everything means something. Every word.
Yeah, and when you say being there in the present moment, I'm thinking this self-love will also take away a lot of resistance, because if you're here right now in the present moment, you don't have any of that resistance coming from the past or even the future, what you're going to do tomorrow. You're right here right now, and that's all that really matters.
You are absolutely correct, and that is the right terminology. Resistance from the past. Most of us are fighting resistance, which is impelled at us through unconscious incidents of the past. And this is what I mean by lies. Now, unfortunately, I cannot tell you what the lies are, because every time I do, I get in trouble. So that's something for the student to find out, for the seeker to find out. But our heads are full of lies.
I think you really need to see it for yourself to really truly to understand it to begin with.
That's right.
Because, you know, most of the times, if you tell someone what to do, they don't really know it until they experience it for themselves. You know,
That's right.
I think that's really the highest form of learning.
That's right. And how can you make a blind man see? He can't see. So you have to use another means, maybe shock him, or maybe touch him, or maybe use those other senses. He can't see. I should know. I was born in a school for the blind. My godfather, one of my gurus, was the teacher. He was blind. Wonderful genius. So, yeah. But we are living these lies. And these lies, in order to make up for these lies, we create an ego. An ego is a false sense of self. You do things with the ego just to fit in. Nobody wants to be lonely, you know. But if you're lonely for a little while, it'll be good for you, because you might end up shaking hands with yourself.
So if I let go of this ego, I'm well, obviously I'm more free, but I'm able to appreciate myself, love myself, and not worry about what other people think.
Absolutely. Means absolutely nothing. I like when people say nice things about me. It's a fact.
Yeah.
In fact, all artists like we are, we need that love from our audiences. When my students appreciate what I give to them, that is love. That's admiration. They're sending admiration and therefore respect. And It's wonderful. But it's okay if they don't send it too. If they don't send that love, but you still are in love with yourself, not the ego, with your real self. So you can take things that other people can't take. See, like criticism. Everybody's free to think anything they want. I don't know if I answered that exactly. Did I?
Yes, I think so. I mean, we're talking about self-love.
Um,
And
for example, look, when you develop self-love, it doesn't take very long. It does take a little time to eliminate the lies. But as far as invoking that inner self, it doesn't take very long because it automatically replaces the lies that we eliminated. But when you begin to love yourself, it's like you're respecting and admiring yourself for the real reasons. And nicely also is the fact that you automatically make friends with your body. Your body becomes your friend, so you don't get sick as other people do. Nor do you believe the lies that they try to put into your head about sickness.
so if somebody's watching this right now and they're not really getting what you're saying, like they're thinking self-love, oh, this is kind of weird to them. What are they really? They're not comprehending, or is it something with their listening, or just the fact that there's just another lie laying there, and so they're not seeing what we're really saying?
Okay, that's very good, because that is one of the reasons for more lies. Because people who have something on the ball try to share with others something of importance. And they've noticed that others can't get it. So what do? They diminish. In other words, they end up of making everything easy answers. See? Making everything easy so that those poor listeners can understand. And in doing that, they're lying. Because some of these things we're talking about cannot be explained by word of mouth, like 1, 2, 3. When I teach, I speak in a certain way calculated to make people think. And I'm not the only teacher that does that. Other teachers do that too. You can check you too. They do the same.
No. I mean, you have to be able to think for yourself. Like I said, you got to experience it for yourself. It's the highest form of learning, I think.
That's right.
When you get it for yourself. In other words, no one's telling you. You're deciding for yourself what this all means. And it's the experience of it more and more that seems to draw you more onto the path, shall we say? Yeah.
See, one of the biggest lies, and this I can mention because it's so obvious to everyone, is what will people think? What will they say? Who cares what anybody thinks or says? That's his business. That's not my business.
Yeah, I think one of those lies is they feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me if I study something like that. There really isn't anything wrong with you. It's just you're looking for a higher level of consciousness.
Even when you're wrong, there's nothing wrong with you.
All right.
So learning.
And again, that's going back to self-love. You You're not concerned about anything, what anybody else thinks, and if you're wrong, it's okay too.
And this is a fortunate thing,
Yeah.
or with the kids nowadays. They seem to be getting worse. They become more blind than they used to be, because anything that they don't understand or something goes off a little bit, and right away, especially the psychologists, they find something wrong with them, and they invent words. Well, this one's got this, and this one's got this, and that one's got this, and those diseases don't even exist. That's just a word. These are children that want to express themselves. And as I said in the last interview, the child that was born today is more evolved than the one that was born 10 years ago. So he wants to express this new evolvement. But no, they push him right back where you belong. Go back there where you belong. This is the way we do things here on Earth. So you grow, and then you finally start seeing these things. And you blame yourself for years. If you happen to have a good heart, this is what you'll do. And then one day you have the first transformation, and you see it. And then you begin to working on yourself. And of course you don't commit errors, like if you take advantage of the survival of others, take advantage of people and hurt them and do wrong things, then of course that's no good either. But once you discover that you've been lied to, and once you begin to see what you're all about, you become benevolent. You don't want to hurt anyone. Just like you wouldn't want to hurt your friend, the body. Why should you hurt it? Why should I hurt that guy over there? All the wars in the world. Did you watch TV today? Sometimes I turn it on while I'm eating or something. I mean, it's crazy, these fightings and this. So stupid. It's for sick people.
But what makes someone want to take a look at themselves? I feel like there's some people that they don't even consider that. They,
That's right.
Like I said, they think,
That's right.
well, if I take a look at myself and try to better myself in terms of consciousness, right? They either think that maybe it's weird, or that's for people who have problems.
Right. Absolutely right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So only a few people, little by little, they're a little bit more evolved, and they begin to wonder, gee, I do everything right. I don't hurt anyone. I like people, and yet I can't seem to get along with them. And that's what happened to me. And then until that one night where I realized that I can be wrong once in a while, like all of us. I can be wrong quite a bit. I can be wrong most of the time. But to be wrong all the time, no way. And that did it. And then a few other smaller transformations. And then love yourself. And you have to take responsibility for that love that you have for yourself, just like you take responsibility for the love that you have for your wife or a friend or someone.
Yeah, I don't think everybody thinks about that, self-love towards yourself. Because of I would say something like, oh, well, that's selfish. If I'm thinking about myself, right? Which gets into something else, right? I mean,
that's what they told you, Michael. Don't be selfish. Don't be selfish, Michael. Johnny, don't be selfish now. And in general, children are not selfish. They they want to eat that candy before the other guy does. But that's the kind of selfishness that all of us have. That's inborn. That's the instinct, not instinct, in this case it's intuition of survival. And we are taught other lies like living for tomorrow. Sure, you should have a plan for tomorrow, but everyone's working for tomorrow, killing themselves today, not taking care of their health for tomorrow. Tomorrow what?
They're losing the experience of right now because their mind is in tomorrow or the future, as you would say. Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about it is if you allow your inner spiritual self to come out by eliminating as many lies as possible, the beautiful thing is that you'll always have income, you'll always have, not always, but most of the time you'll have admiration from a very few people that appreciate you and can duplicate what you have as a human being, so that gives you happiness. Not to speak of the intuitions which you have. You have intuitions about yourself, about others. Sometimes, if they allow you, you can advise others, help them that way. I would not advise and you didn't want it. So we have a lot to learn. And to me, that's what makes life worth living. Now, if you like baseball and football and all that, it's okay. I don't like them myself, but it's okay for you to like them.
Right.
Okay, you can be dealing with your inner self and like these other pastimes. You know.
So it's like being at peace with yourself, letting go of the past, being present in the moment, and not so concerned about the future, but being fully here right now.
And, and that is the only way you can plan the future, is by being all here right now.
Yeah.
Then you plan your future properly. There's nothing wrong with planning. But the present moment to most people is not comfortable. Oh, I got to get some better clothes. I got to do this. I got to get that. Well, they complicate life. Life is simple.
Yeah, so it's worried about something, right? I mean, there's something they're worried about because they're not comfortable, and they feel as if they don't do this right now, it's gonna get worse. But really, they're not really being present in the moment, and they're not really seeing the whole picture.
Yeah, but the fact that we have an instinct for survival is one of the causes, because we're when you pass through transition, which I mean by that I mean death, we're not exactly sure what happens. But one thing that I've learned is the more you allow yourself without resistance to think about it, the more you learn about it. And so, but the instinct is, the body instinct is, it wants to live, wants to create. So you can create and live much better if you live in the moment, plan the future properly without any worry, and you are benevolent.
And you're not being irresponsible when you're living in the moment. You do take responsibility for what needs to be done. It's just you're in a space that allows more freedom.
Oh, you know what responsibility means? Always go back to the word, the etymology of words. It's the ability to respond. That's all. Responsibility, ability to respond.
And I think when you're in this present moment, your ability to respond is way higher than it could be if you were in the past or the future, because you're so in tune to
You
what's
said it.
happening, you know?
You said it.
So with that and self-love, boy, I guess you're really having a good time there, huh?
Well, the problems will still be there.
Right.
I
But
mean,
they're not so
you can deal
heavy.
with them.
Yeah, you could deal with them.
Well, sometimes they're heavy, sometimes even heavier, because the people that are sleeping can be mean to you sometimes, and they'll make it uncomfortable for you.
Right.
Even when you didn't force them to do anything, but
But you're more peaceful, so you could deal with it, right?
you deal with it. You ask yourself, what can I do about this? For example, my new book that took me 2 weeks to write. I said that before, didn't
Yeah. That's all right.
I?
It's about listening here, anyhow.
What was it?
That was a test question.
I wrote in there that what was it now? What we were talking
All
before
right.
that.
Well, we're you said 2 weeks in your book,
Yeah, but before that, just before that.
just before you mentioned the book.
Oh yeah, it was the. You see, that's the problem.
Rewind. Oh, we can't rewind. This is live.
Well, it'll come back.
Yeah.
That's why, in speaking, like when I give a lecture or something, I don't like the word lecture. When I give a talk, I don't write anything down. It has to be spontaneous because that's what it is at the moment.
Right.
Tomorrow will be different. Might be different tomorrow. We're in the process of learning all the time. So we go into a lot of these things in my new book. And that's basically, this last book, I wanted to do that as a one-shot accomplishment in this field. In other words, if people don't want to read all the 14 volumes in my philosophy, they can just read this one and go achieve this quickly. The problem is, not everyone will be able to understand some things, because some things on the metaphysical side cannot be explained by words. It's by feeling, by intuition.
So what would you say? Someone has to just find out whether they're in that space? Or, I mean, obviously, if they're working with you, you probably can tell. But you said some people might not be able to get it out, understanding or comprehension from it because of where they are.
Usually it's because they don't understand what the words mean. That's all.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all. The only thing we have to communicate with. In fact, the dictionary is our only reality. Did you know that? You ever think about that? Because if you, for example, take the word forces. I could use it as a verb. He forces his son to work. Or I can talk about police forces, or the forces of nature. So all of these meanings. So you have to not only understand what the word means, but the context in which it is used. So if there is a subject, I believe in self-learning. And practically everything that I've learned till now has been self-taught. And the majority of people don't self-teach because of this simple thing, not understanding the real meaning of the words.
And I think maybe have they been tuned out of learning from their prior experiences?
What?
Like have they been put off like from their experiences of learning that they have no desire to? You know what I'm saying? I think that probably has a little bit of it too. That their experience of learning wasn't really a good one, and so their desire to learn or improve themselves is not so much there. You know?
For example, the teachers that we have today in high schools and grammar schools, even in college. College is a little bit better, but in high schools, they're not very good teachers. Like I sent out one of my newsletters about the creative teacher. To be a teacher is not something you learn from the book necessarily. The only thing you can get from a book is technique. If I want to learn about alternators in a car, I have to know which is the positive electric wire and the negative wire to connect them properly. That's technical. But the secret in teaching is knowing how the metaphysical aspect of the physical works.
No, most people don't know about the metaphysical, though.
But they don't.
No.
That's trying to change on this planet, is this way of looking at things. Unless they include the metaphysical aspect in their physical life, we will never have a peaceful world. Look how many civilizations have come to this planet and how many went down the drain. You know what original sin is that's written in the smelly old books? The original sin is simply because people in general took the appetites, which started off in course number 4, how to handle the negative influence of others. It started off with 4 appetites: the stomach appetite, the sex appetite, the greed appetite, and the fanaticism, religious fanatics appetite. Well, I recently expanded to 7 appetites. Now we have the fame, being famous, and the fame, and I added 3 more. We have the greed, I forgot what the other 2 were, but they're in the book. And these appetites, the original sin has to do with indulging in these appetites. See, you have to eat in order to survive. It doesn't mean that you have to go to a dinner or a big party every night. And people are thinking about food. Greed. I got enough money coming in, so it's okay. I'm going to take time off from making money to take care of my health. See? But they're greedy, so they don't take care of their health. Sex. Oh, sex is the biggest one. There are more lies on sex than anything else. Sex and medicine. Lots of lies. I don't want to talk too much about sex. Because people don't understand. Sex has nothing to do with love. But it mixes well with it. And then you have fanaticism in spirituality. People follow the old books that were written, and they were mainly written as allegories, little stories that you tell a little kid. Your little son comes to you and he says, "Daddy, how come cats, when they go to the bathroom, they always make a little hole in the ground?" So you, the aberrated father, full of charge and full of lies, you're afraid to talk about feces. So you don't want your son to talk about that. Well, this is just a wild example. So he tells him as a little story that he can comprehend. That's all. So they made all these stories, these maybe 100 or so great men in the past 2,000 years that wrote some of these allegories because they knew that society was really backward and they would never, neither accept nor understand the truth. So then those little stories are passed down to us, and then we take it literally. Can't take it literally. It's an allegory. But to reach that point where you can see that and understand that, you have to do a lot of thinking. And that's why in my latest book, it ends with an epic poem that I wrote. It's a 12-page poem. And it's written in a certain way so that when you read it, you don't read it. Use the wrong word. When you study it, you read maybe 3 or 4 lines at a time. And they're calculated to make you think. And that's how you learn the truth. And there's no chance, there's no chance of making a mistake. There's no chance of making a mistake. Whatever comes out from your own heart, that's what the truth is. For you. Doesn't have to be the next guy's truth. You're a universe all by itself. We don't agree with everything. You don't agree with everything I say, nor do I agree with everything you say. But we're still friends. There's a lot of love between us. You don't put me down, I don't put you down. You're free to be who you are. So life is not complicated at all. Very, very simple. Once the lies are gone.